Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, heart racing, after dreaming about a phone screen that just would not respond? Maybe in your dream, you were trying frantically to text someone for help, but the keys kept changing into gibberish. Or perhaps you found yourself standing on the edge of a massive glowing crowd, watching everyone celebrate a party you were never invited to. These are not just strange night terrors of the 21st century. They are the sound of your inner world crying out balance. For many of us, the day ends not with quiet reflection, but with a glowing rectangle held inches from our eyes. We scroll through endless updates, highlight reels, and distant lives until our eyelids grow heavy. We think that when we put the phone on the nightstand, we simply turn the world off. But your mind does not turn off. It takes every single image, every spark of envy, every unspoken fear of being forgotten, and carries it deep into the dark room of your unconscious. Fear of missing out, or FOMO, is often spoken about as a minor nuisance of the digital age. We treat it like a simple habit we can fix with a digital detox or an app blocker. But if we look closer through the lens of analytical psychology, FOMO is something far deeper and far more urgent. It is a modern manifestation of an ancient human wound, and when it invades your dreams, it is a signal that your psyche is reaching a breaking point. To understand why this happens, we must look at how we live during our waking hours. Every day, you step out into the world wearing a mask. In psychology, Carl Jung called this mask the persona. The word originally comes from the Latin word for an actor's mask. It is the social face we present to the world to fit in, to be liked, and to protect ourselves from rejection. In the past, your persona was limited to your immediate physical world. It was how you behaved at work, with your family, or among your neighbors. But social media has expanded the persona into a dynamic, endless performance. Online, you are expected to curate an optimized version of your life. You select the best photos, share the smartest thoughts, and present a continuous narrative of success, happiness, and connection. The problem is that the more time you spend building this bright, perfect digital persona, the more you cast aside the messy reality of who you actually are. You bury your loneliness, your fatigue, your normal human awkwardness, and your quiet doubts. In Jungian psychology, everything we reject or suppress does not vanish. It drops down into the dark, hidden basement of the mind. Jung called this place the shadow. The bigger and brighter your digital persona becomes, the larger and darker your shadow grows. And modern social media is the ultimate machine for inflating the persona while starving the shadow. When you scroll through your feeds, you are not just looking at pictures. You are consuming hundreds of ideal personas crafted by other people. You see their travels, their achievements, their perfect friendships, and their flawless moments. Even if your conscious mind knows that these images are filtered and curated, your unconscious mind reacts on a primitive level. Your unconscious sees a terrifying sight. It sees a world where everyone else belongs to the tribe, while you are standing alone in the dark. This brings us to the core of FOMO. Why does the idea of missing out cause such genuine psychological pain? To our ancient ancestors, being excluded from the tribe was not an inconvenience, it was a death sentence. To be left out of the circle meant facing the wilderness alone, without protection, fire, or food. The fear of isolation is hardwired into the deepest layers of our survival instinct. When social media constantly triggers this ancient fear, your nervous system responds as if you are on the verge of being cast out into the cold. You feel a quiet, constant hum of anxiety. You check your notifications again and again, not because you truly care about the content, but because your primitive brain is frantically checking to see if you are still safe, still included, and still part of the tribe. And then you go to sleep. This is where the genius of Carl Jung offers us a profound key to understanding what happens next. Jung observed that the human mind possesses a natural, self-regulating mechanism. Just as your body works to maintain its internal temperature, your psyche constantly works to maintain psychological balance, or homeostasis. Jung called this the compensatory function of dreams. When your conscious attitude becomes too one-sided during the day, your unconscious produces dreams at night to restore balance. If you are overly arrogant during the day, your dreams may humble you. If you feel weak and powerless in your waking life, Your dreams may grant you grand visions of power. Dreams are not random static. They are not merely meaningless firing of neurons, nor are they simple literal translations of your day. They are symbolic communications from the unconscious, designed to show you what you have ignored, suppressed, or forgotten. So, what happens when you spend 16 hours a day feeding a false digital persona, obsessing over the lives of strangers, and running from the fear of being left behind? Your unconscious responds with force. It creates dreams designed to confront you with the reality of your inner imbalance. Consider the common dream of the malfunctioning phone. You need to call someone, or you need to read a message, but the screen cracks, the battery dies instantly, or the numbers scramble endlessly beneath your fingers. From a modern pop psychology view, someone might tell you this dream simply means you are stressed about technology. But from a Jungian perspective, the symbol carries a much deeper weight. The phone in the dream is a symbol of connection, but it is an artificial, mediated connection. When it breaks in your dream, your unconscious is making a bold statement. It is telling you that the tool you are relying on to connect with the world is fundamentally broken. It is telling you that the hyperconnectivity of your waking life is an illusion that is failing to provide true, meaningful human contact. The frustration you feel in the dream is the frustration of your soul, realizing that no amount of clicking or typing can satisfy your true need for belonging. Or consider another frequent dream, the endless scrolling nightmare. You wake up feeling exhausted because all night long you were dreaming of scrolling through a stream of faces, posts, or infinite corridors of images that never end. You are searching for something, but you never find it. This dream mirrors the tragic nature of modern digital consumption. You are wandering through a wasteland of symbols, consuming endless data, yet remaining spiritually starved. Your unconscious is holding up a mirror to your waking habit. It is saying, "Look at what you are doing to yourself. You are wandering through a desert of shadows, searching for life where there is only light and glass." Then there is the dream of being invisible at a massive gathering. You walk into a room where everyone you know, or thousands of strangers, are talking, laughing, and celebrating. You try to speak, but no sound comes out. You try to touch someone on the shoulder, but your hand passes right through them. Everyone is absorbed in their own screens or their own conversations, completely unaware of your existence. This is the ultimate FOMO dream. It exposes the deepest dread of the digital age, the fear that despite being more connected than ever in human history, we are fundamentally unseen. It shows the sharp divide between outer visibility and inner isolation. You are surrounded by thousands of people, yet you are completely alone. It is important to clarify here that Jung himself lived long before the birth of the internet, smartphones, or algorithm-driven feeds. He worked with the symbols of his own time: steam engines, early cinema, mechanical clocks, and the rising industrial landscape. Yet, his structural model of the mind remains astonishingly accurate for the digital era. Modern scholars and Jungian analysts have expanded his theories to show that technology does not change the core structure of the human psyche. It merely creates new mirrors for old archetypes. When you see an endlessly updating social feed, your unconscious does not perceive software code. It perceives an infinite sea, an overwhelming, boundless force that threatens to pull your conscious mind under. Jung spoke at length about the danger of the ego being swallowed by the unconscious. In ancient myths, this was represented by the story of the hero being swallowed by a sea monster or falling into a deep, inescapable abyss. When you spend hours lost in the digital feed, your individual consciousness, your ego, is being swallowed by a modern digital form of the collective unconscious. You lose your individual voice. You stop thinking your own thoughts. You begin feeling what the algorithm tells you to feel: outrage, envy, panic, or desire. Your dreams of FOMO are not punishments. They are warnings from your internal navigation system. They are trying to rescue your individuality before it is completely submerged in the digital tide. Think about the sheer energy we expend every day worrying about what we are missing. We worry about missing a news cycle, missing a trending topic, missing a party, or missing a career milestone that someone else just posted about. But Jungian psychology asks a haunting counter-question. While you are terrified of missing out on the external world, what are you missing out on inside yourself? Every moment you spend looking into the glass screen, longing for a life that is not yours, you are abandoning your own real physical life. You are ignoring your own creative urges, your own quiet grief, your own unwritten stories, and your own path toward wholeness. Jung called the process of becoming your true, authentic self individuation. Individuation is the lifelong journey of bringing the conscious and unconscious minds into harmony. It requires you to step away from the crowd, to face your shadow, to unmask your persona, and to discover who you are when no one is watching. Social media and the culture of FOMO are the exact opposite of individuation. They encourage collective conformity. They demand that you pay constant attention to the outside world while completely ignoring your inner world. They train you to value outer validation over inner truth. When FOMO creeps into your sleep, your psyche is protesting against this neglect. It is demanding that you wake up, not from sleep, but from the hypnotic trance of your daily scrolling. So, how can we apply this understanding to our real daily lives? How do we take these haunting dreams and turn them into tools for healing? The first step is to change how you react when you experience this anxiety, whether in a dream or during your day. Instead of trying to suppress the fear of missing out, turn toward it with curious attention. The next time you feel that sharp tug of envy or anxiety while looking at your screen, stop and ask yourself a simple question. What part of me am I neglecting right now? When you feel FOMO, you are projecting your own lost potential onto someone else. You see someone traveling and you feel envy, not necessarily because you want their specific trip, but because your soul is starved for adventure, novelty, or freedom. You see someone posting about their close group of friends and you feel left out. Not because you need to be in that specific group, but because your inner self is starving for genuine, vulnerable, face-to-face intimacy. Your envy is a map. It points directly to the parts of yourself that you have locked away in the shadow. Instead of longing for their life, ask yourself how you can feed that hungry part of your own life in a real, physical way. The second step is to change your relationship with your dreams. If you wake up from a dream about a broken phone, a missed event, or being invisible in a crowd, do not brush it off. Do not just scroll through your phone to distract yourself from the uncomfortable feeling. Sit quietly with the dream. Write it down on a real piece of paper with a real pen. Look at the symbols. Ask yourself, where in my waking life am I trying to communicate but failing to be heard? Where am I sacrificing my real presence for the sake of an artificial image? What am I so afraid of losing if I choose to look away from the screen? By doing this, you are practicing what Jung called active reflection. You are showing your unconscious that you are listening. When the unconscious feels heard, the intensity of nightmare symbols often fades, replaced by clearer, more constructive dream guidance. The third step is to deliberately create spaces of true solitude in your waking life. Solitude is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is the painful feeling of being isolated from others. Solitude is the rich, peaceful state of being present with yourself. In our modern world, true solitude has become remarkably rare. Almost every moment of potential quiet, waiting in line, sitting in traffic, lying in bed before sleep, is immediately filled with digital noise. When you fill every quiet moment with input from the outside world, you give your unconscious no room to breathe during the day. Therefore, it has no choice but to flood your night with unresolved imagery. To reclaim your mind, you must build a sanctuary of quiet. Turn off your devices an hour before you sleep. Let your mind settle into the darkness. Allow the thoughts, the small anxieties, and the quiet feelings of the day to float to the surface while you are still awake. Let your conscious mind process them gentle, so your unconscious does not have to carry the entire heavy burden alone into your sleep. Create moments during your day where you step away from the digital tribe, walk outside without headphones, sit in a room without a screen. Let yourself feel the discomfort of not knowing what is happening online for a little while. In those moments of quiet discomfort, you will discover a profound secret. The world keeps turning without your constant surveillance. You are not missing out on life by looking away from the screen. You are returning to it. The fear of missing out is ultimately a fear of non-existence. We worry that if we are not seen, not updated, and not included, we cease to matter. But your value as a human being was never tied to a feed, an algorithm, or the approval of a digital crowd. Your psyche is vast, deep, and ancient. It connects you to something far greater than any network created by human technology. It connects you to the timeless depth of the human spirit. When the glowing screen calls to you late at night, urging you to check one more post, see one more story, and compare yourself one more time, remember that your real life is not happening in that light. Your real life is waiting for you in the physical room around you. It is waiting in the quiet rhythm of your own breath. It is waiting in the rich, untapped depths of your inner world, ready to be discovered the moment you choose